Cool, 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 cool. That looks good. Oh, there are two people. Zane is back. Okay, cool. All right. I got some people coming in. Make sure that they get in. Something. All right. Give people some time to get in. Ooh, cool. Just gonna keep getting a few more minutes because people keep hopping into the Zoom, so we'll just give them some time. All right. Well, I think that's enough time. What in the world? All right. So let's share our screen. All right. So you should all be seeing what we're doing on campus today. So let's go look at what we're doing on campus. Because if you're at home, that's what you should be doing automatically. And if you're here, you could honestly do that too to see what's going on. So we're on day 7 now. We're slowly getting there. So we're going to go over episode 1 in the interface intro to Photoshop module. If you're at home, I want you to try and download Photoshop if you have just a regular computer and not a Chromebook. If you do have a Chromebook, all you need to do is go to Pixlr. I'm pointing at it, and if you're at home if you're at Age right now and you're in class right here, what you're going to do is when you're at home, you're going to use Pixlr right there, and the link's right there, and you can use that as it's very similar to Photoshop. I'll show you an example of it here in a second. But it's pretty basic. It's similar to Photoshop. It's just a little bit more like dumbed down in a way. And it's all online, so you don't have to worry about it when it comes to your Chromebook. You can just get right in here. You can log in, but for instance, I'm just going to open an image. Let me go to picture. There's nothing there. I've got something somewhere I can use, I'm sure. Sure, that'll work. So as you can see, I can work on this right here within Photoshop. Y'all were supposed to play with it a little bit yesterday. And you can see that there's different things you can do. You can change kind of the different settings on it. As you can see, it's starting to change a little bit. Now it's looking a little bit more. Oh, that's looking too weird. So you can see how things look. It makes it look a little darker. So there you go. That's basically what you can do. That's obviously changing the color scheme of it completely. It's kind of cool though. You can change how it looks. Just with that one little tool there. There's tons of different ones. You can sharpen it. You can make it look more clear, which that actually didn't look too bad. different things like that. So yeah. That's how it looks in movies when you wake up. You know what I mean? Like, or in a video game when you've been like knocked out and like you come back to consciousness. That's all they do basically. They just blur it and you just. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Pixelated, so you can start. Oh gosh, all it's doing really is zooming in, honestly, because you can see all the pixels. So that's what we talked about yesterday. Honestly, is the pixelation of raster graphics. So yeah, make it mosaic. Those are like pixels, but yeah, it's just changing them to more like little triangles within the pixels. So yeah, there's that. Posterize. You can change all kind of. It's changing the. Oh, look at that. That's kind of cool. Oh, fancy. All right. So yeah, you can see there's gonna be a lot of tools. We're gonna look into all these tools when we go through and do some stuff. Clone Stamp's a really cool tool. If you've had multimedia, you've probably used a lot of these tools, but you know, it is what it is. We gotta, you know, kind of go back over them, especially because you need to know them if we do get to take that certification, like I'm hoping we do. So you can blur stuff in specific areas instead of just blurring the whole thing. So it's kind of cool. There you go. You could blur all the water if you really wanted to make it really focus in on that top section up there. Things like that. So again, this is not Adobe Photoshop, but this is something very similar to Photoshop. You got your layers pane over here and things like that. So if you're online and you're on a Chromebook, this is a good option. If you're online and for some reason you can't get Photoshop to work or you can't download it, then you can use Pixlr. But I would prefer if you have a desktop at home, if you have your own computer, you can attempt to download Photoshop. But now if you think it's going to just crap out your computer, if your computer already runs kind of slow or anything like that and you think this is going to slow it down, that's fine. For instance, this desktop can handle Premiere Pro pretty well. That's the video editing of Adobe. So it handles Photoshop, Illustrator, and everything else fine. Premiere Pro is probably the most like high-end Adobe product, not from a standpoint of, you know, it's better than the others. It's just it has to do so much more because it's video editing. So just kind of keep that stuff in mind. Again, if you're be weak and you're having trouble with that, that's okay. Just save your questions, write them down, and save them for next week. I'm not going to worry about it right now. It's not that big of a deal. So we're just going to move on and we'll look into those issues next week. If you're online only, please go ahead and send me an email that you're having trouble getting into Pixlr, you're having a hard time getting Adobe. Again, if you're having a hard time with Adobe, just move on and go download Pixlr, basically, or you don't have to even download it. You just go load up the website. So that's kind of your options right now. If you start working on a project, let's say a week here, we start working on a project Friday, we'll just say, and you start working on it in Photoshop, I'm probably going to give you time 2 weeks from now, from that point, basically, to come back in and work on it in Photoshop. I don't expect you to work on it and then have to try to go home and convert it and all that stuff into Pixlr. We're going to work this out the best way we can. Unfortunately, we're in a kind of situation that this just is not going to work but so well. We'll see what we can do. By the time we get halfway through the semester, and working with this, you might be able to easily transfer your files. You might get to the point you're that good that you're just transferring your files, and you can work on it from home. That doesn't mean when you're at home after something like that you're not doing anything. We will have stuff to do. It's just you might have to take a break from that project is all. Sound good? So basic stuff. So nothing to stress about. Again, those at home, do not stress if Adobe doesn't work, or if you can't even get this pulled up. If you're B week, just wait till next week. And if you're all online, please email me and we will work it out. But you know, give it a full attempt. Don't just click on this link. Click on the link. Don't just click on this link and be like, I don't know what to do. Mr. Haddock, help me. Look and just see. There's open image. There's login. You can make an account. You're probably going to want to make an account so you can save your work. But you just hit login and you'll put in the sign up here. And it's really not a whole lot of stuff you even have to put in. You literally put an email, password, country, you sign up, and then you confirm your account with your email. It's not hard at all. So please try and do that on your own before You know I don't mind helping you. I will help you whenever I can, but I do want y'all to have some responsibility and not just click on a link and say, oh gosh, Mr. Paddock, help me. And it's like, you didn't even look at it. Look at it, try to figure it out. I'm sure you can do it. Y'all are smart kids. All right. So like I said, we're going to go over episode 1 today in Adobe Photoshop. This is going to be the intro to Photoshop module. So let's go to modules. I never can find it for some reason. So we've done the device care module. Again, I'm not so worried about that. Y'all put in an attempt in it. That's really all I care about. So again, I'm not even, this is something from the county or the school or something required that I have to give you. So I gave it to you and you worked on it and we can move on. So we've done project management notes. We've done project requirements. I'm going to work on grading stuff soon. I'm trying to give people time to get stuff in and get things figured out. We did digital image notes yesterday. And now we're going into the interface intro. Gareth here is going to take us through an intro to Adobe Photoshop. It's 12 minutes, so sit back and relax. And we are going to try and do this here in class. At home, you're welcome to kind of do something similar. I really just want y'all understanding the interface, basically, of Adobe Photoshop by the end of the day. So we're going to work on this. If you want to watch from home and not with us, that's fine. You can leave the Zoom meeting and do that. If you want to watch and wait and see if you have questions, that's fine too. But again, we're not doing so much today. We're watching this video and we're going to play around with Adobe Photoshop with this template. So, all right, here we go. Oh, what a great sound. Tasty tips.
Hello and welcome to the first video in this beginner's guide to Adobe Photoshop. In this tutorial, we are going to kick things off from the very start. In this video, we are going to take a look at the Adobe Photoshop interface. Now, the first version of Photoshop was released in the late 1980s. With all the innovations and new features that have been introduced over the years, up until now, the interface itself has not changed all that much. For those of you that are completely new to Photoshop, I'm going to show you around and introduce you to some of the things you need to be aware of. Now, I'm currently using Adobe Photoshop CC 2014 for Mac. If you're using an earlier version for Windows, some things may be a little different in parts, but in principle, it should be the same. So if you have Photoshop open and wish to follow along, you will need to first come up to Window, scroll down to Workspace, then scroll down and select Essentials. Then, to make sure we all have the same setup, we must again go to Window, Workspace, and then scroll down and select Reset Essentials. This will then set the interface to the Essentials default layout, and we should have something that looks like this. Now, don't worry if your setup is not exactly the same as mine here. What you should have is the default settings. Just follow along and you should be fine. What you will come to learn later on is that you can customize this layout, but what would help right now is for you to have the same or similar layout so you can follow along with me. Now, one other thing you need to make sure you have active is the application frame. The application frame is the gray space you see here in the background. If we come again to Window and scroll down to the bottom, we have the application frame here. So if I click this to turn it off, we can see the desktop. Now we can work like this, but I find it much easier to work with the application frame on. So for the duration of this course, we will need the application frame on. So I'll come back to Window, scroll down and click to activate it there. Perfect. So this is Adobe CC, and with CS6 and CC, we have this dark interface. If you're using an earlier version, you'll be looking at the light interface. Now, if for whatever reason you wish to toggle the interface color, if you come to Photoshop on the top toolbar, I believe this is in Edit for Windows, scroll down to Preferences and select Interface. It's here you can toggle the lightness and darkness at the top of this menu. I like it dark, so I'm going to select the darks option and click OK. So to begin, I'm going to open up a document. This document is going to help me demonstrate various functionality of the program, which we are going to be covering a little later on in this video. So be sure to open this up and follow along. Now, this document can be found in the Introduction folder in the Project folder. Now, you can download this project folder for free. The download link is in the description. So with the project folder open, click on Introduction, Interface, Interface Introduction and open the Interface Introduction file. And you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the interface. So on the far left, we have this tall, slim panel. This is the Tools panel and contains all the tools that can be used in Photoshop. As you can see, we have lots of icons here. To activate the tool, you simply click it or press one of the many shortcut buttons on the keyboard. We know which tool is active because it will have a highlight square behind it on the Tools panel. In Photoshop, we will be using many tools, and most tools have their own unique mouse cursor icon. You will notice that as we use the tool, the mouse cursor will change, indicating which tool we have activated. So if we look carefully, we can see that almost all the icons have a little white arrow in the bottom right corner. If we click and hold an icon with a white arrow, this will reveal more tools in the set. For example, if I click and hold on the pen tool, we can see an extra 4 tools within that set. If I click and hold on the shape tool, we can see a variety of tools that can be created very easily. So keep in mind that some tools work in sets. Now if we take a closer look at the bottom of this panel, we can see 2 overlapping squares. Now if you're new to Photoshop, you may not be familiar with this. What this represents is a foreground color and a background color. The top square is the foreground and the bottom square is the background color. So right now we can see that the foreground color on the top is black and the background color is white. Now if you look closely, just above the foreground and background color in the Tools panel, we have this little button called Swap Foreground and Background. And if I press this, it's going to swap the foreground and background color like so. So very easily, we can swap the foreground color and the background color. Now to the left of the swap foreground and background, we have another little button, and this is the default foreground and background. If I press this, it's going to set the foreground and background squares to black and white. Now we can't really see this happening at the moment as our colors are already black and white. But should the foreground and background color be set to other colors, clicking this will set them to black and white. So as you can see, the Tools menu is currently in one column. If we look closely up to the top left of the Tools panel, we can see these little arrows pointing right. If I come and click this once, we can change the panel to a double column. And if we press this again, we can go back to the single column. For the duration of this course, I'm going to click and set my Tools panel to a single row. Now if we move to the top of our window, we can see the standard toolbar across the top. From here we can access various properties, controls, and initiate some of the creative features in Photoshop. But we're not going to go into this too much right now. Just under the top bar, we have the Control panel. The Control panel spans the entire width of the screen just under the main menu at the top. Now, this control panel is really useful as this will display various properties and options of a particular tool you have selected at any given time. You will soon realize that this is one of the most key panels in the program, and as you use Photoshop, you will be referring to this panel a lot. So if I move down through the Tools menu and click on each tool, notice how the control panel changes. This is displaying all the various tools and options of that tool that can be toggled and used accordingly. Later in the course, you will be learning how we will use this panel as we start to use the various tools in the Tools panel. So keep in mind, as you use your tools, keep an eye on the control panel as this is really useful. Moving on to the right-hand side, we have some panels visible and another slim panel with icons. These icons represent panels that can be made visible by clicking on them. Here we have History and Properties. If I click on the icon once, the panel will snap out. If I click the icon below, this will snap to reveal that panel. If I click the icon again, the panel will snap back in. Next to this, we have some panels that are already visible. Here we can currently see the Layers, Libraries, and Color panel. Now, if you look carefully, these panels also include other panels as tabs. For example, on this Layers panel, we also have the Channels panel and the Cards panel. What you will soon discover is that these panels, like the control panel, are essential in order to produce work in Adobe Photoshop. In order to have a swift workflow in this program, it will help to have a comfortable setup of these panels. Now in Photoshop, you can arrange and customize these panels in various ways. I'll be demonstrating how to do this in the next episode, and I'll be recommending an effective setup. So what you see here is a default setup. Now, if I come to the very bottom of the window, we have this thin strip. This also contains some useful tools and visual aids. If we look over on the far left, we have the magnification of our document. This will give you an indication at a glance at what percentage we are looking at the artwork in the canvas area. We can also use this to zoom in and out of our document precisely. You can do this by clicking in the box and typing in a specific value. For example, I can type in 50 and press enter, and I will see my artwork at 50%. To the right of this, we have a visual aid box. To the right of this, you can see a little white arrow. Now, if I click this, we can choose from a list of what we want to display in this box. For example, I'm going to choose document dimensions. And here I can see the size of my document. If I click and hold on this box, it will also give me a quick glance at the width, height, and resolution of the document. Convenient. So next, I want to touch on document tabs. Now, what are document tabs? Well, currently, we have this document open, and if we look carefully in the top left corner, just under the control panel, we have a tab that shows the document name. Now, sometimes you may find yourself using multiple documents at any time. In Photoshop, you can have multiple documents open at once. For example, let's quickly create a new document. I'm going to come to File, New, and just click OK. And there it is. And let's make it one more. File, New, and click OK, and we have another. Now, look again closely at the top left, just under the control panel. This time we have 3 tabs. Now, we can click these to navigate to other documents. If I click the far left tab, we are back to our first document. If I click the next tab along to the right, we can see the new document. And if I click the next tab along, we can see the other document. So as we use multiple documents, we can simply click on these tabs to navigate around. So when we start to use multiple documents later on in the course, we will be using document tabs in this way. So I'm going to close these 2 documents down by clicking on the X icon on the far left of the tabs, and so I'm back to my original document. So that's a brief overview of the Adobe Photoshop interface. In the next video, we will be taking a closer look at the word panels, where I will be showing you how you can customize your panel layout to get a more comfortable and tailored workspace. See you in the next video.
I'm having a really hard time planning out these classes right now for some reason. I don't know why. I think things will take longer than what they are. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. I know that was dry. I understand. I know. But they are the best thing we've got for the most part. He does go in really good depth and detail on music videos, to the point where it does get dry sometimes. But they are very beneficial and helpful to understanding how Adobe Photoshop works. So let's just review real quick what he went over. I want to open up Photoshop on my computer. And it's going to take a while, so just be prepared for that as well. Yesterday, it probably took a little while. Even after loading it, it probably took a little bit of time to get it going. Yes, ma'am. We're getting there. Reading. So yeah, tomorrow we'll go over those next videos we talked about. We'll go to models and look at it. I'm not requiring you to submit these right now. There might be occasional where I get you to submit them, but right now I'm not worried about it. Tomorrow we might watch some of this one. It's less than 10 minutes, so at least it's a little bit shorter. But he's really going over more of the work panels and the workspace and all that stuff, kind of how to arrange things, which is very important for you to know so you'll have better time management while working on these projects, basically. There we go. All right. I assume that you're not seeing that. Something in the chat. Get the chat. So Alexia, to answer your question, no, it's going to stay on your computer, so you can always uninstall it after the class if you want. If you're concerned about, it slowing down your computer but so much, then you can honestly, like I said, just use Pixlr from home for now. That'll be fine. The county's still working on a way for you to get Photoshop more digitally, so you aren't taking up so much space on your computer, or it's actually functioning correct. Andrew, to answer your question, you're still here. Okay. Yes, that's basically all we're doing today. I would like for you to try to either download Photoshop or make a Pixlr account, whichever way you want to do it. If you're just going to go use Pixlr, that's fine. If you want to try to download Adobe on a desktop or on a laptop, you're welcome to do that. I mean, honestly, Adobe works on my laptop quite well as well, so it probably will be fine. We'll just have to see. Yep. Okay, so this is Adobe Photoshop 2020. You can see I've already done a lot of projects in here. It saves all of kind of what I've done recently. So we're going to create new. Oh, and this popped up over here, so I'll show you. Oh, let me get you screen shared over here if you're watching along. Share. All right, y'all should be seeing it. So it gives you tons of options when you say create new. You probably did this yesterday, so you can just use the default for now if you're gonna kind of messing around with it. Eventually, we might have some projects where I want a specific size. So this is Photoshop. You can open up any kind of really image you want to in here. I don't know why my projector is so wonky. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now you can see better here in class. All right. So we're going to go to File and Open. That's one way to open up a specific picture. And you can go to Documents. And we'll open up that same Washington, D.C. photo I had. You're fine. You've got different things you can do, just like in the Pixlr account. Again, it's a little bit more stuff going on in here. Obviously, there's a lot more that can be done, so just keep that in mind. Move this down here for now. So here's my layers panel. For right now, that's going to be the one main thing I want to make sure you're understanding is that there are layers. There's different things you can do in here. You can obviously click them on and off by clicking eyeball. We're running a little slow, probably because I got Zoom up and Adobe Photoshop, so that's going to be difficult. It seems to be okay. So yeah, there you go. I hadn't clicked something this by bad. Again, it's hard to remember everything that goes on in Photoshop. It's a very difficult program. It's It's an industry standard, so professionals use Adobe Photoshop, they use Illustrator, they use InDesign. So there's tons of different things we can do here. For instance, we can remove the background. So I'll just show you an example of that. And eventually we'll get to the point where you'll be doing it as well. So I need a layer behind it, and we'll explain that more later. But there's some tools here, for instance, like the magic wand tool. And if I select that, hopefully, oh, I'm on the wrong layer. But I can use this. And if I hit delete, we see those black and white checkerboards, right? So that, and I keep hitting delete when I do this. Again, I'll show you more how to do this later, but it's just a good example of how things work in Adobe Photoshop. So I can basically remove the background, and I can change maybe it to a nighttime view. Just different things you can do that'll make it look cool. So let me see if I can do that real quick. It shouldn't take me too long. Well, it might actually, consider it's not selecting all of this. Go in now. You're gonna have to speak up, but I can't hear you. Yeah, you can use an eraser tool too. There's should be right. Should be in here. There it is. And background erase tool. So yeah, you can do it that way too. Let me get my size of my brush up a little bit. There you go. I can't get to work. I'm doing something wrong. Let's see. Got that selected. Just ask, what am I doing wrong? I'm using the background erase tool. It's not erase. The magic erase tool?
No, you see those little moving white and black things over there on the right side? It's still selected. You have to deselect it.
Right. Yep. Let me go back. I think if I can't get. Well, I want to delete it. Or no, it's already. Yeah, it's ready. There we go. All right. This should work now. There we go. Yep. So yeah, you can do that too. However you want to do it. Honestly, there's tons of different ways you can do the same task. When you get on the certification, if we do get to take that, there are some specific ways to do things. So just keep that in mind. They might ask you to use the magic erase tool. They might want you to use the magic wand tool. So there's several different ways they might ask you to do things. So now I've removed my background, and I can come in and I can do a galaxy background. But you see now, if I move this now, I can move this however I want. So yeah, now let's just go to Google real quick, and that's true too. Yeah, fireworks in the sky. That type of sky. Yeah, okay. Go to images, and as long as I get a pretty large picture like this, save the image, save. Hopefully I can go back and find it real quick. File, open. See, it went to my desktop. Right, went to my downloads. No, it should be on downloads. Let me go back and look. Oh, I did save it in my FBLA folder. That's annoying. I didn't want it there, but okay. Is what it is. That's a good question too, honestly. With the amount of FBLA folders I have. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, that works out perfectly. Okay, so now you can see I have my two tabs open now. Kind of the annoying things I gotta go back and forth. So if I come here and wait a minute. Let's see if I can get these all the way across. I need to bring you over. There we go. So now I can drag this up, go onto the fireworks page, bring it in, and look at that. It's not perfect, but there you go. And I did that within what? a few minutes and a few people's help. So yeah, I couldn't get all the trees, but honestly, for the most part, for a quick, few second Photoshop project, that's not terrible. So, does it look extremely realistic? Not really, but that's okay. It honestly gets, it gets the job done for the most part if I wanted to do something like that. So there's obviously you can get more and more realistic if you look back on when I was about to open something earlier when I had just opened Photoshop. There's tons of projects I've done before, editing celebrity spaces, things like that. If you've been in multimedia, you've probably done these, the art gallery project, all those things. And we're going to get to them eventually, which the cool thing is you will be able to do that in the Pixlr program. So I know what I'm doing a little bit in Photoshop. It takes me a little bit of time to remember because it's been a little while since I did Photoshop. I didn't teach multimedia last year, and the last experience I had was I did teach this course, and it was new, and I didn't have any curriculum or anything. So give me some slack when I'm trying to go through all this stuff. There's a lot of new courses. So we will kind of learn some of these things together. I do know how to use a good amount of these tools for the most part. Clone stamp, all those different things. So we'll kind of work on it and we'll try some different stuff. And then hopefully, like I said, if you're an underclassman, you'll take some more of these classes. And maybe by next year, we can have the video class. I'm really excited for that one because I do know what I'm doing in Adobe Video for the most part or Premiere Pro. So, yeah, that's all I got for today for the most part. So I'm going to stop the Zoom here now. Are there any questions in the Zoom meeting? You can type into the chat or you can ask me real quick. Y'all good? All right. Remember, I want y'all to, you watch the video, so you're good. If you're, just make sure you're checking the announcements and make sure you try to download Premiere Pro, not Premiere Pro, that's on my mind. Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. Main thing right now is Photoshop because that's what we're starting with. And if not, make an account with Pixlr. And no worries about the other programs either if you're on a Chromebook because I have web-based kind of things for those two. I've got an Illustrator one and an InDesign, so all good. Any other questions on Zoom? Speak now for everyone's peace. Sounds good. I'm ending the meeting. See y'all later.